For Machida, Kendo was all about the spirit. To this day, the spiritual aspect of swordsmanship remains vibrant in Kendo. Here, practitioners are taking the test to achieve the rank of 8th Dan, the highest level in Kendo. Today, about 500 people in all of Japan hold this rank. You're only allowed to take the test if you've held the rank of 7th Dan for at least 10 years and are still in training. Many of those taking this test are over 70 years old. In this examination, you're tested not only for the excellence of your technique, but also your character. What's being judged is whether mind and technique are in unison as each blow is struck. Those who pass the practical exam then take a written test. On this occasion, they have to answer the following question. There is a teaching that says your sword is your mind. Write about this on the basis of your own ideas and actual Kendo practice. Only those who have attained a supreme level of technique, experience and character are awarded an 8th Dan in Kendo. Techniques originally honed as combat training for survival on the battlefield were elevated to the level of a spiritual discipline. This is the origin of Kendo, a martial art with a proud 400-year tradition.
Musashi also wrote that when watching to see how an opponent's going to come at you, don't look at movements of specific parts of the body, like the feet, hands, shoulders or face. What he meant was that you're not to look at outward movement, but rather cultivate a way of looking with your spirit. According to Musashi, that's the way to become an expert swordsman. In all martial arts, the training of your own spirit is considered more important than defeating an opponent. Next, we're going to take a look at the story of a young Kendo practitioner who has a physical disability, but is second to none in the way that he's honed his spirit and become an elite swordsman.
The Kendo Club at Osaka University of Health and Sports Sciences is one of the strongest in the country. It has produced a number of winners of the National Collegiate Championships. One of the members of the club has only one arm. His name is Toshimitsu Takamiya. Takamiya's dream is to fight in the national tournament. For the first time, he's been selected for the regional qualifying event. There are no special rules in Kendo for people with handicaps, so Takamiya has relied on his own individual strategies and hard work. He adopts a stance that allows him to make swift downstrokes with his shinai. He has also perfected his own unique style of attacking. Just before he strikes, Takamiya shifts his grip on the shinai hilt. By moving his hand closer to the guard, he can swing faster and strike at his opponent's wrist. This is his signature technique. Even when he's at home, he practices in his room. He swings a wooden sword that weighs twice as much as his usual bamboo shinai. This helps to build up his arm muscles. Takamiya lost his arm in an accident when he was just 1 year old. In his first year of primary school, he was introduced to Kendo. By training twice as hard as everyone else, he rose to become prefectural champion in his 4th year of school. And in secondary school, he was one of the top 4 in the whole prefecture. I never ever think to myself that I would be better at Kendo if I had 2 arms. I never ever think to myself that I would be better at Kendo if I had 2 arms. In fact, I'm sure I wouldn't have been as good as I am. Because I only had 1 arm, I worked harder than everybody else. Thanks to that, I've made it this far. If I had 2 arms, I'd never have considered practicing so hard. Takamiya's kendo instructor when he was young was Shosei Inada. He says he can never forget the way Takamiya used to get back on his feet again and again, no matter how many times he was knocked down. Inada says Takamiya wanted to make people forget that he had a handicap. If the strings of his chest protector started to get loose, I'd say to him, "Shall I tie them for you?" And he would answer, "I'm okay, I'll do it myself." I don't think I ever helped him to do that, not once. That's the kind of attitude he had as a kid. He hated to lose, and he wanted to prove he could do anything. To prepare for the upcoming tournament, Takamiya has been practicing hard. There are many nights when he can't sleep well. He's so tense. So to improve his mental strength, he embarks on a special intensive training program with his coach. If he is to achieve his dream of reaching the national meet, everything will depend on Takamiya's strength of spirit. The opening day of the regional tournament arrives. There are 230 students taking part, and only 32 of them will qualify for the national championships. Takamiya must make it past the 3rd round to be among them. His very first bout goes into overtime. Finally, Takamiya lands an ippon blow on the right side of his opponent's forehead. His second bout also goes into overtime. And this time, Takamiya wins it with his trademark attack to the wrist. Having fought overtime in 2 consecutive bouts, Takamiya's left arm is already very tired. The longer his bouts continue, the more of a disadvantage he's at. His 3rd round bout starts. These 5 minutes will decide whether or not he reaches the national championships. With the fatigue in his left arm, Takamiya comes under severe pressure. But he remains calm and smoothly evades his opponent's attacks. But he can't finish off the bout within the regulation 5 minutes. Yet again, he has to fight overtime. Takamiya's left arm is reaching its physical limit. He's forced back on the defensive and the bout drags on. But he remains confident that an opportunity will come. Be better today than you were yesterday, and then strive to become better still. Never lose your spiritual equilibrium. Cultivate a mentality that allows you to stay alert in every situation. Even as the overtime stretches on, Takamiya's concentration does not waver. Spotting a momentary opening in his opponent's defenses, Takamiya lands the ippon. The winning blow is his trademark strike to the wrist. Because all my bouts went to overtime, it was really hard. But I'm happy I made it through and qualify for the next level. It was a victory won thanks to his relentless training and unwavering spirit. This is Takamiya's old school in Kumamoto. He has just started working as a teacher. Nothing is impossible if you have belief in yourself. That is the message Takamiya wants to give his students. I think the reason that I've continued with Kendo up to now is that it's allowed me to do more than just compete with others on even terms, despite having only one arm. I believe that as long as you keep trying, anything's possible. And that's what I want to teach them. Takamiya's aim now is to inspire a new generation to share the spirit of Kendo.
Wow. Japan has numerous disciplines whose names end in do, do meaning way. Kendo, of course, is the way of the sword. Judo is the way of softness. Sado, literally the way of tea, is the study of the tea ceremony. Each of these disciplines has techniques which you need to master, but more than that, they're about learning a way of living or a way of being. Both Judo and Kendo can be considered sports nowadays, but their aim is for the practitioners to develop themselves and to develop a way of living. In that sense, Mr. Takamiya, who we just saw in the video, is a true Kendo practitioner in that he's trying to teach his students how to live and how to share his zest for life. Kendo certainly is a sport, but it's not just a sport. It's also becoming increasingly popular outside Japan these days, and we'll leave you with a look at that. I'll see you again next time.
Glasgow, Scotland. This was the venue for the 12th World Kendo Championships. The invited spectators included Britain's Queen Elizabeth. The first World Kendo Championships took place in 1970, and since then they've been held every 3 years. The number of nations taking part has grown to more than 40, including France, the United States and South Korea. France is one of the emerging powers in Kendo with more than 7,000 practitioners. Recently, a Kendo workshop was held in Bangkok, the capital of Thailand. Some 300 people attended from various parts of Asia.